Okay, welcome to the What is God podcast. I'm Shifra Bloom, your hostess. And in this podcast, I ask people from all walks of life their answer to the question, what and where is God? And what does it have to do with me? And today, our guest is Alex Wolfe. I'm really excited about talking to Alex. He is a serial entrepreneur, founder of Eon's biotech mushroom brand, which, by the way, I didn't even tell you last week. I got to try some of them and I was so focused. So that's a little plug and then I took the sleep ones and I actually had epic dreams. So that's a little plug for
Yes.
that. But he also is the co-founder of Circadian Wellness, which is a parent company for a brand incubator in the wellness space. That's so cool. He's originally from Canada, now based in Austin, Texas, a follower of Jesus Christ, and he works closely with plant medicine. So I'm excited to hear about those two things together, his relationship to Jesus Christ and plant medicines. But I'm going to go ahead and jump right in with you, Alex. I have a question for you.
I love it. Yes.
So, welcome. And I would love to know how you would answer the question, what and where is God, and what does it have to do with me?
Right. Wow. What a question. It's
I
a
know.
powerful question. And like probably like the most powerful question you could ask to kick off a podcast. So I
Yeah,
love
let's
this.
just jump right in.
Jump right in. So I'd like to start off by saying, thank you for the intro. I appreciate you. And despite all that, I really know nothing. I'm really, the more I learn, and I love learning, the more I realize I know really nothing. And God to me is no thing. So it's really the more that I get out of my own way, the more that I'm able to tap into a signal, and that signal is connected to what I believe is God, and that signal is a source. It's an infinite source of divine intelligence, of divine truth, of divine wisdom, of divine being, divine power,
Mhm.
divine spirit, um, infinite potential, infinite abundance, infinite possibilities, infinite faith, infinite awareness, and yeah. So it's just being able to get out of my own way to tap into that infinite source
Mhm.
is what God is to me. And where is He? He's everywhere, all at once. Yeah, it's an infinite living spirit. Is the closest way that I could sum it up into words. Something that's so beyond words. But yeah,
Mhm.
that would be my best shot at it.
That was so beautiful, Alex. As you were speaking, I like just felt more tapped in as you were giving that answer. I felt really connected to that. And just to recap, I take notes while you're speaking because that really helps me absorb better. And just that introduction with, despite all of your experience, this humility of, and I know nothing, and that in fact, from what I if I understand what you're saying, knowing nothing is in some ways to know God, because God is, among other things, no thing. um and then, signal, source, divine intelligence and truth everywhere at once, infinite living spirit, that lands. And so
Oh, good. I'm glad.
thank you. And you know what's so beautiful, and I love talking to you, Alex, for a lot of reasons, but you and in I would say, of the conversations that we've had, oftentimes we talk about deeper spiritual conversations, and we've had some really interesting conversations about religion and God. And it's interesting that, your pithy answer of what is God lands so deeply for me. And yet you and I have different religions. And, I'm Jewish and you're a follower of Jesus Christ. And those are different paths. and somehow they're also the pithy definition you gave. I'm like, check mark, absolutely yes. And
Hmm.
so it's part of what I love about this podcast is both seeing the differences and also seeing the connection points that as human beings we have, even with a topic which can be both uniting and divisive as
Hmm.
God. So I think if something I'd love for you, we could take this in a lot of different ways, but I would love to hear from you. Well, there's two things, and we can decide which to go in first, and we might go on tangents. But one, um, I really want to know more about your relationship to Jesus Christ
Hmm.
and how that connects to the question of what is God. I think I'd like to start there, actually.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for asking. And everything you said prior to that, I completely agree with. Despite having different religions, I believe, all religions lead to a path of fulfillment. They're all sects of the truth. They all have truth, and all of them lead to a path of fulfillment, just in different, possibly directions. But they're all grounded in truth, and it's very, like I alluded to earlier, it's very difficult or almost impossible to sum up something that's infinite in words. It's so, and these religions are dissected into words, so it's almost impossible to capture the true essence of them. Um, but they do a pretty good job, and they keep us on that path to fulfillment. And with Jesus Christ, it was, being a follower of Jesus really just enables me or allows me to tap more into my heart, as Jesus proclaimed and spoke about. And so it's more just like being like Jesus, as someone that was really tapped into his heart, and was all about forgiveness and discernment and love. Um, and it's really simple as that. And then just doing my best to be like that, to live like that, and to love unconditionally, um, like Jesus did. So he's just like the ultimate role model that I could think of. It's really that simple for me.
Thank you. I think that's really beautiful. And I mean, forgiveness, discernment, and love seem like really great qualities to live by. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Throw presence in there as well, just super present. And yeah, you got a pretty solid group of qualities.
Yeah. Wow. Again, I'm still, it's still landing so much for me in my own path. That's really beautiful. So I would also love, so the other thing I was going to ask is how has your journey with plant medicine so far helped you evolve your understanding of what and where is God and your relationship to it?
Yeah, very similar to what, following Jesus does for me is my path with plant medicines. They very much bring me into my heart. They get me out of my head, and my first real big experience with plant medicine back in 2016. I traveled to Peru, and I sat with shamans and drank ayahuasca, and that was, in all honesty, was the first experience that I had of like cracking my heart open. Up until then, I was very much living in my head. I was a commercial pilot for many years, and although that was a great career and it gave me a lot of skills in the matrix, and I accomplished quite a few things, it left me very much living in my head, and always thinking ahead, and trying to outsmart the system or people. And
Mm.
it also left me very disconnected to myself and other people. And it was that journey with to Peru and sitting with ayahuasca that really brought me back into my heart. And I was like, wow, there's a whole other paradigm here of living from your heart. And that set me on a whole new quest and a whole new adventure in this world, and that led me back to finding love with Jesus Christ. And it's just really cool for me to look back and see how it was all connected. But the more that I sit with plant medicines and mushrooms and these psychedelics, I find that I'm able to tap in more to Christ consciousness and Jesus and this kind of stuff. And so it's really interesting and really fascinating to see how it's all connected.
So I'm gonna try to take some of your answers and pull them together and then see if this is landing for you or not. But would you say that your work with plant medicine has helped you tap more into no thingness and forgiveness, love, and presence?
Very well said. Absolutely. Yes, that totally lands. And yes.
Those are your words kind of reformulated
I
differently.
love that. I love that.
Cool. Oh, wow, it's so beautiful. So I'm curious then if you would have any kind of message for listeners who are on their journey of discovering how they relate to God. What message might you share with them?
Yeah, I'd say, you know, there's a couple things I could go with this, but one is your belief systems can very much limit you, or they can take off all the limits of life. And if you believe that nature is divine and you're able to tap into this divine nature, you will start to accomplish things that others believe are impossible.
Mm.
And you can tap into the realm of possibilities, which, some people call miracles. But I'd say miracles are not, or miracles don't prove the impossible. They actually prove that something that was possible all along. And the way that I've been able to tap into that and experience many, miracles in my life is just to tap more into nature. Nature, I believe, is divine. It is the path or the way to the signal of source. And in nature is this infinite living spirit. And the more that we could spend time or pay more attention to nature, and the more we become one with nature, the more we're able to tap into this divine living spirit. And that doesn't mean you have to do plant medicines or do mushrooms or anything like that. Those are sometimes just amplifiers of this whole thing, and they could really speed up or maximize the experience. But even just going and sitting in nature and listening for an extended period of time can really start to open you up to this divine living spirit.
That's beautiful. It reminds me again of that no thingness and how, for me, sitting in nature is really the place where I can truly quiet down. I remember when I was younger going into nature on these backpacking trips, and like it would take a few days before all the chatter in my mind would finally quiet. And then there was underneath all that, like this quiet. And that's this gateway to the divine and to accessing this place. And without that stillness, it's harder to access it. So I think for me also nature was a gateway for sure.
Absolutely, you're nailing it. It's like you said, the chatter. There's a lot of noise, in the world, especially today. There's so much noise, and social media and our phones and all these screens play a big factor in that. Those are not natural. Those are not of nature. So there's a lot of noise there. So how do we get through the noise? I would say exactly like you did. Tap into nature, and then eventually that noise starts to dissipate and dissipate, and then you get the signal, which is what I believe is straight to source, and then you could start to get these downloads,
Yeah.
um, and these downloads can be of pure, infinite potential and possibilities, and then it's a matter of, once you get these downloads, then going to take inspired action and then applying it in your life, and then usually, or hopefully, or ideally, these acts of inspired action can make an impact and help other people, and that I believe is what the whole point is, or the whole idea is.
So I summarized that into 3 words. See if this lands, okay? Catch the signal, put it into action, create impact.
Boom! I love it. You're so good at this.
I'm good at listening.
You really are. That's fantastic. Love that.
And I think it's interesting that you used the word signal too, because you said when it quiets down, I'm paraphrasing, of course, when it quiets down, you can catch the signal. And, you were also talking about the screens and the computers and the phones and the social media. And those are quite literally putting off signals, your Wi-Fi signal. And so it was just when you said that and you used that word, it was interesting to me, like, oh, we're inundated with these other actual like frequency signals from our phones and our computers, etc. And all these frequencies. And then when we kind of remove ourselves from that and we're in nature where all of that isn't around, I'm taking a more literal approach here, but it's interesting because there's actually less signal pollution, if you will.
Yeah, less noise. I like to call it noise.
Yeah,
Yeah, I totally get it, and it does. Those I like to call it just noise, because all those noise or frequencies aren't tapped into the source. They've just been man-made, and they're technology, but they're not natural. And that natural signal is really the only one that really matters, and the other ones are just a distraction.
And then, so after signal, the second one was action. And I love that, it's like, okay, we'll go and quiet down. And maybe you use plant medicines, or maybe you just sit by a river and you you quiet the noise. But then the importance of, okay, now go bring it into action, and that importance that, we are meant to quiet down, and then we are meant to, as human beings in the physical world, to put it into action.
Yes, well said. Exactly. That's how you manifest it. I agree.
And then from there, that creates impact. And so I'd love to know if you would share, at this stage, what impact are you striving to make? You're doing so much in the world, like so many really cutting edge and cool projects. What impact is it? Do you see it creating, and are you hoping that it will bring down?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to get a lot of these downloads, and and I feel like I have a responsibility now to bring these downloads into the world and to manifest them. And it's really just to get people back to nature,
Mm.
and with simple, fun and innovative ways to do it, using biotechnology, and combining nature and technology to give people a validation experience through fun and innovative products and protocols and programs and courses, to tap them back into to signal, to get them to cut through the noise and just go right into signal. And sometimes, in order to do that, because there is so much noise, you just need a good night's sleep, like you alluded to before. It's very challenging to be able to manifest anything into the world, and co-create something, especially something epic, without a good night's sleep. So it's like, okay, how do we give people a good night's sleep naturally? And we've come up with an amazing natural formula to do that. And then, okay, now that you've given them a good night's sleep, how can we give them more energy to go and seize their day naturally? So we created a smarter way to drink coffee, that's loaded with mushrooms and adaptogens and vitamins and minerals, and that doesn't give you the crash that normal coffee gives you, or the anxiety or the jitters that mold in the coffee gives you. And then a series of other products just to really help you live your best life so you can go and tap into nature, and then get these downloads. So we're doing that through Eons, which is the functional mushroom brand, and doing it really in a fun and innovative way, and allowing people to choose their own adventure within the brand, and that's been a lot of fun. And then we're doing a lot of other disruptive technologies. I really love disrupting spaces, and we're doing that with inverted sugar technology from South America. And we're doing that with the Plant Institute in Uruguay, where we're studying, thousands of different rare species of plants, not just for psychedelics, but for plant medicines, for phytoceuticals, for vitamins, as I like to call it, and really disrupting the whole medicine space and bringing it back to nature. I truly feel nature has a remedy for everything, and the more that we could tap into that, the better off humanity will be.
Thanks for sharing all of that, because you shared a few things that I wasn't even aware of that you were doing. And I can I can definitely give my experience. I was got to try for about a week. I got to I should really just order. I can order them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Where do I order them? Because I was with a friend who had them, and so I got to try the focus mushrooms in the morning, and I really so just a little background, and then you can tell us where we can order them. But a little background, I don't know, Alex, if you know this about me, but I'm a clinical herbalist. I trained at the North American Institute of Medical Herbalism. And so I really have a strong background in herbal medicine. From
Amazing.
a clinical perspective. And so I formulate and have had clinical practice for a long time. And so that's the perspective I'm coming from when I say that I got to take these in the morning. I took the focus ones, and I really felt the focusing effect. And then I took the ones for sleeping as well. And I know there's reishi mushrooms along with some other things in them. And I've never had that experience with reishi mushrooms that was that strong as whatever it is that is in the one that is in your formula. I had wild dreams, like no
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
So
I love
so
that.
where can people order these from?
Yeah, thank you. Eons.com. We ship to all 50 states, and we just started shipping to Canada, and we'll soon be in Mexico and Brazil in the next couple of months. But yeah, eons.com. You could use my promo code AllHeart for a discount. And yeah, on the reishi mushroom sleep formula, we came up with a really special formulation that not only gets people a really good deep sleep and increases REM sleep, but also has a lucid dream formula. So we're tapping into that, and that's going to be a whole part of our community, is creating a community around lucid dreaming and getting people to share their lucid dreams, because we spend a third of our life sleeping. So imagine if we can have a whole other life in our dreams that we could tap into. And and we don't always advertise that, but it's more of like we kind of just wait and see for people's feedback and reaction.
Yeah.
And then we get it a lot. They're like, "Man, I'm having these wild dreams. What's going on?" And yeah, we're creating pathways to lucid dreaming.
It was definitely really cool. And I have had other herbal blends and formulas that were advertised as lucid dreaming formulas, and then yours isn't even advertised that way, but I found yours to be that much more so than any of the other ones I've tried. And so it was very cool. And it's neat that you said you're actually creating a community or a program or something. Can you just share what that is? Because that's
Yeah,
unique. You
absolutely.
have supplement companies, but you don't usually have a community element to a supplement company.
Totally. Yeah. Thanks for asking that. Yeah. The community, building a community is a big part of our mission and our vision. My vision is I see a world where people are attuned to themselves and the world around them. And the way to do that to impact is through a community. So we're building a community through Eons called the Eons Family Network. And it's going to be our first 1,000 affiliates that get very well educated on all the products and the formulas and what they're uses are for, so they can go and educate the people around them and influence people and then create courses and masterminds and other offerings within the community. The more that you share, the more that it'll unlock these other levels. It's a very gamified community. It's very, 90s video game inspired. Think like Legend of Zelda meets Super Mario Brothers. So it's a very Nintendo. A lot of our team was born and raised in the 80s and 90s, so we're very much inspired by that nostalgia, and
Yeah.
we're that's like kind of the theme of our community is very gamified and choose your own adventure within the community, and we just feel that's like a fun, innovative way to educate and edutain people, because education is really a big pillar of our organization. But how do you educate people in a fun and innovative way so that they keep coming back and want to share? We believe that you gamify it and you make it a big game and a choose your own adventure type thing. So yeah, look, and we're happy to have you in the community too, Shifra, if that's something that
We'll definitely have to talk after. I'm like, oh gosh, I definitely want to talk to you about this.
awesome.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
so
talk
that's what we're
after.
building. Cool.
And thanks for sharing the all heart code with our listeners too. That's really generous of you. Um, well, cool. So I will wrap up with a blessing that I feel is appropriate here, and then we'll conclude. So I want to bless us and our listeners that we can quiet the noise enough to catch the signal,
Love it.
that we can then have the health and internal motivation enough to put that into action, and that we may be so blessed that that creates a positive ripple effect of impact in the world.
Amazing. Beautiful. Thank you for that blessing, Shifra. I truly appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Alex. So I will conclude now and just thank our listeners for coming on. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is the What is God podcast. I'm your hostess, Shifra Bloom, and we will see you next time.